Well, good evening. My name's Malcolm May, and I have the wonderful opportunity to share with you guys this evening. I believe we continue on the series Ups and Downs in Life. Well, I think I've got enough experience to pretty much talk you through a lot of situations. So, one of the most important things, people, is that you hang on to God. As I share my journey and as I share my story with you guys, and we're going to wrap it up and talk a little bit about Joseph and his amazing journey. But throughout the Bible, we see many faithful people, and they all hung on to God's promises and all hung on to what they believed God was talking to them about. So I want to encourage you over the next 10 minutes as I share my story to be faithful. I'm going to talk about choices and make right choices. So I'm going to share a little bit my testimony. I had no idea that Jesus was even real. I didn't believe he was real. I told my son when he was in primary school that he didn't need to do religious education. It was all people being brainwashed. So for me to come to know Jesus and have a relationship, that was transforming. It changed who I was, and I now hang on to the promises of God. But choices we make, there's ups and downs in life, so many highs as you look back in life as you get older. I'm married to a beautiful wife called Anita. I have Lockie May, one of my sons, and I also have a stepson, Rowan. I have 3 beautiful grandchildren. They're amazing highs in life. Giving my life to Jesus was a significant high. I was really down. I was pretty much drug dependent. I used to hide all my pain by taking drugs. I wasn't making very good choices. So whenever there was some things going on in my life, I would use marijuana to hide my pain. When things were going really good, I would be really happy and smoke more marijuana. So I just want to encourage you to not even think about taking drugs at any particular time. It started with me just one simple joint at a party, and I loved it, and it became so addicted to it, and it just changed who I was. It put me through many years of dark pain where I just disconnected with the world and saw things fall rapidly backwards and spiraling down. But because I was addicted to the drug, I couldn't see it and didn't really worry about it. That was a part of my life. I look back. I have a stepson, Rowan. Unfortunately, he's been addicted to ice, and it just started with one hit. And yeah, he's battled for a long time. So I just want to encourage you guys. There's going to be opportunities as you get older, or even now at secondary schools. There's drugs around, and just never do it. Just the slightest taste can make you addicted, and certainly will just take you to places where you don't want to go, and you'll lose loved ones and friends. So the choices we make in life can really dictate our ups and downs in life. The highs, the highest of highs when you're taking drugs. I don't know why I'm sort of leaning to the drug side of things, and it wasn't my plan, but I believe that people need to hear this, and especially as you guys grow up, it can be put in your faces. It can be you can go to a party, you can be with friends, and someone says, just try this. And it's at the time, you think, oh, it won't make a difference. It won't affect me. But from someone who was a drug addict, it certainly does. And it's the same with drinking. It just starts with a couple and a couple more. And then, I used to binge drink. I used to love that place where I'd just get really drunk, and it'd make me feel good, and it'd give me a false high, because the next day I'd wake up and go, what did I do? What's happened? And I'm so grateful that when I gave my life to Jesus took all those things away from me. It doesn't always happen for everybody, but I gave up drugs straight away. I stopped binge drinking totally. I've never been drunk since then. And that was I was 37 years ago. Well, Sorry, I was 37 years old, so I'm 53 now, and I look at over that journey, and I'm so gracious to how Jesus has changed my life. How Jesus, he's wrapped me under his arms and his wings and just protected me through difficult times and through hard times. You know, I know that you guys will have, through life have lows, and I encourage you to hang on to Jesus. Don't turn away. It's very easy to get frustrated. It's very easy to get angry. It's very easy to step away from those who you love, and certainly and just blame God for things that have gone wrong. I've been there. I've done that. So I want to encourage you, get good people around you and be honest with people. Really be honest with people. That's really important, that you be honest with people so you can talk to people. Have good people to mentor you. Find an adult that you can talk to, somebody that will give you the time of day and listen to you as you journey through life. It's not hard. Let me rephrase that. At times life seems like it's really hard, but Jesus will walk you through. You know, the Bible says in the Psalms that I walk through the valley of the shadow of death. You never stay still. So every situation you come through. You know, many years ago, I was diagnosed with rheumatoid arthritis, and I didn't know what was going to happen. I got terribly sick one year, and just out of nowhere, I ended up losing like 11 kilos. Some would say it's a good thing. I carry a few kilos extra too much now, but I was really sick, and I didn't think I'd get through. I had no idea. I was having tests after tests after tests, and I just didn't know what was going to go. Was I ever going to live a normal life again? Was I ever going to be able to work? Was I ever going to be able to run, go fishing, spend time with my wife, with Anita, with the grandkids, with Lockie? All those things I just didn't know. But I look now, 3 years later, and I'm now running a chartered business. I'm working 2 jobs. I'm just about living a normal life again. I have very little medication, and I'm so grateful for Jesus taking me through that. So just hang on to Jesus. Hang on through every situation and circumstances. There's going to be times in your life where you wonder where God is. He's not hiding from you. He's walking next to you. He'll always be there with you, and it's just a matter of trust. Trust, and just hang on and just walk with him. Just hold on to the scriptures, to things that God's spoken to you about, because he hasn't spoken to anyone else about them. That he's spoken to you. I really encourage you to hang on to those dreams, especially with you guys being so young. I encourage you, never lose your relationship with Jesus. I didn't know Jesus until I was 37, and I look back with the decisions I made, and they were really bad decisions. I've lost businesses, I've lost houses. They're all through bad situations and choices that I made in my life that were extremely bad. So I just want to encourage you in this time, as we're coming towards the end of the year. Some of you will be finishing school and going to university. Some of you will be just starting secondary college, and some will be going, gee, it's been a hard year. And reality is 2020 has been tough. Some of you excelled in study at school, working from home, and others have really battled with not being connected to school. So I encourage you to hang on to the promises of God. Hang on to Jesus. He will get you through. And as we look to Joseph is a pretty good person to look at through life's ups and downs. I was searching and doing a bit of trying to find something that I thought I'd be able to pick out of the internet and give you something to read, something, just some biblical truth. And out of Genesis 37 to 50, there's a website, Great Bible Stories, and it talks about Joseph's life. I'm going to read this direct to you. I'm not going to change anything. And it talks about Joseph's ups and downs. Joseph was Jacob's little baby, and Jacob loved him very much, and that was a good thing. But then Joseph's oldest brothers got jealous and were mean to him, and that was a bad thing. Jacob gave Joseph a wonderful new coat. That was a good thing. But that made Joseph's brothers really jealous. A bad thing again. Joseph's brothers were so jealous they decided to kill him. A really bad thing. But at last they decided not to kill him. A good thing. But to throw him into a pit instead. A bad thing again. But Joseph's brothers decided to drag Joseph out of the pit, a good thing, and sell him to some travelling merchants so he would never see his family again. Joseph had been wondering what was going on, but life is like that. Sometimes there are good times and sometimes there are bad times, but all the time God is with us. But even more than that, sometimes God uses what we seem like the worst times to do something wonderful. That's what was going on. Meanwhile, the caravan of travelling merchants arrived in Egypt. Now I suppose they could have sold Joseph to just any old Egyptian who lived in some out-of-the-way part of town, and we would never have heard of him again. But that's not what God had in mind. Instead, they sold Joseph to a man named Potiphar. And Potiphar just happened to be the officer in the court of Pharaoh, the king of all Egypt. Well, of course, it didn't just happen that way. God planned it that way. But Potiphar wasn't just an officer of the court. He was a captain of the palace guard. He was a big cheese in Egypt. And Joseph was an important place. So Joseph went out from a pit in the wilderness to live in a beautiful house, a very rich and powerful man in the land of Egypt. But a bad thing turned out into a good thing again. God was with Joseph and he blessed him. Everything Joseph did for his master turned out really well. His master Potiphar saw this and he was no dummy. He said to himself, "Why don't I just let Joseph run everything and everything will turn out well?" And that's just what he did. Potiphar had made Joseph his personal servant and he put him in charge of all that Potiphar owned. And God was with Joseph. God blessed Potiphar's house and all the crops in his fields and everything he owned. All Potiphar had to worry about was what was for dinner. But even then, trouble was just around the corner again. Okay, Joseph was a hunk. He was a handsome and strong. And if he was alive today, you'd probably see his picture on People magazine, waiting in a line at a grocery store to buy a Milky Way candy bar. The trouble hiding around the corner was Potiphar's wife. She saw how strong and handsome Joseph was, and she wanted him. "Kiss me," he said to Joseph. One day, while no one was looking, Potiphar was away, working in another part of the house. Potiphar's wife grabbed Joseph as he walked by. "Kiss me," she said again. "I can't do that," Joseph said. "My master trusts me. He has put me in charge of everything he owns. It is just like everything is mine, but he is your husband. How can you ask me to kiss you? That would be wrong, and God would not be pleased with me at all." But Potiphar's wife would not give up. Day after day, she secretly grabbed him and tried to kiss him, but Joseph always said no. But one day there was no one at home. Potiphar and all the other servants were away, and Potiphar's wife saw her chance. She grabbed Joseph by the robe and wouldn't let him go. "I will not kiss you," Joseph said, and he ran away. So fast he left his coat in her hand. Now Potiphar's wife was very angry. She was so angry that Joseph would not have her at her side. So she decided to get even. She had a terrible idea. She screamed, "Help me, help me. This servant of my husband came into my bedroom and tried to kiss me." By then the other servants had come back home and they saw her running into her bedroom and saw her standing there. "Look," she said, "when I screamed, he turned to run away. He ran so fast he left his coat." That night she told the same lie to her husband. "See, what I am saying is true. He came into my room and he even left his coat." Potiphar was furious. He called for his servant at once. That very night they broke into Joseph's room, dragged him out of bed and threw him into a cold, dark prison cell. Things looked pretty terrible for Joseph again, and maybe that night Joseph sat in his cell, shivering and scared. Maybe he sat there with his head in his hands, wondering why all this was happening. God, where did you go? He might have even cried if he only could see the amazing things God had planned. But he couldn't just then, for now all he could do was trust in God, because God was with him. But boy, it sure didn't seem like it. But that's how it is. Even in the darkest times, God is still with us. And even then, God is still at work on a wonderful plan. Choices we make can determine how our life can be up or down. I've made some pretty bad choices in my life. Some have been so painful. Some have been really, really tragic. But I have so many highs in my life. You can read the rest of the story about Joseph it's on a website called Great Bible Stories, and you can see Joseph has an amazing journey. He ends up being overseer of the whole land. He ends up building his relationships back. Everything in his life turned out for good, and I know that as you journey with God, everything you walk through, everything that happens will always turn out for good. So I just want to bless you guys. I trust that as you go off into your groups and you have a chat, I encourage you to be honest with people and talk about this year, how it's affected you, what's been going on. And just know that God loves you so much. He just loves you, and he wants to be part of all of your life, and he wants you to talk to him and make decisions with him. Don't make decisions by yourself. So bless you guys. I really grateful that I could share. Take care and have a wonderful night. Bye.